Hello and welcome here to the research track at Copenhagen Fintech Week Global 2020. In just a few moments, we will have Lunar join you. Morten is ready to give a really exciting presentation and tell you a bit more. We're just having a bit of technical issues with the setup that we're working to solve right now, but we expect to have everything sorted within a minute or two, and we'll hand it over to Morten when we're ready to go. Please hang tight until then. We'll be with you in just a sec. Thanks.
Sådan der, så tror jeg, vi er klar. Kan I høre, hvad jeg siger? Er der en, der lige kan... Er alt okay? Jeg kan ikke høre dig. I kan godt høre mig? Jeg kan ikke høre dig endnu. Jeg kan ikke høre dig.
Oh, sorry, just having a bit of connection problem, but now Morten is on.
Yes.
Morten, because you don't have your slides, so we will change them for you. So just say next, then we'll change the slides and do it like this. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, welcome everybody again to the session with Lunar. We are looking very much forward to hearing from one of the most successful fintechs in Denmark. So please welcome Morten and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on board today. And also thank you for helping me changing the slides as I move along here. So today I will share some of our moments here at Lunar with you. And I will try to just be as transparent as possible regarding the journey that we have been on, and also try to elaborate on the position that we are aiming for and how we also try to do that and establish that together with other fintechs as well. So it will be a general presentation where I will give you some insights regarding Lunar. Not spend too much time just explaining about the company, but also discussing some of the issues when it comes to collaborating with other partners as well, which is a very and significant part of our whole strategy overall. So you can just switch to the next slide. And here I just want to give you a very brief insight into the journey that Lunar has been on. So founded back in 2015, we established ourselves in Denmark based on a partnership we have with Nykredit. So it was inspired very much from the whole telco industry, where you have a provider of all the more or less fundamental infrastructure, and on the top of that, we established ourselves as the service provider. And we also took elements from that and established ourselves in Sweden and Norway very quickly in 2018. The same year, launched a business version again, still as a primary fintech company. We did not have our own licenses at that time, except for only an AISP, PISP license, but we did not have the bank license at that time. So whatever we did was very much together with other companies as well, and back riding on whatever kind of license that they were already having at that time. Then I think we made some significant learnings from that period of time, which has very much defined the strategy that we are moving into right now. Because we got to know from the inside what it takes to actually be in the financial sector. And here, remember that none of the founders, none of the people, including myself, who joined the company from a very early stage, came out of the financial sector. So we didn't have that much experience when it came to regulatory issues and all that stuff. However, we were all driven by the ambition of creating something new, and all of us also thought that doing it within the financial industry was extremely interesting and also a big challenge, and all of that based on top of great technology. So we made a lot of learnings. One of the biggest learnings we made was that in order to be in the kind of control that is necessary for us to be part in this industry, there was a fundamental key for that, which is the banking license itself, because without that, there are too many times from our experiences that we are not in control ourselves. We are very much relying on third-party collaborations, which we still are. However, the decisions and the pace of moving forward was not what was aimed for the company. So we initiated a process with the Danish FSA, starting the whole license application process. It was quite a heavy process. Finalized it all and could pop the champagnes back in 2019, in August 2019, where we, as one of the first companies for several years, had a full banking license from the Danish FSA. And it was actually a very big new point of entry at that time for Lunar, because having that banking license ourselves made it possible for us to truly go our own way and be in full charge of whatever came after that. We saw that as we applied for the banking license, of course, we continued the partnerships we had, and it was great partnerships we had at that time. We continued onboarding new customers as well, also introducing new features as well. And then just for the last couple of months, we have now more or less tried to finish some of the partnerships we established at that time, moving all the customers to our newly established bank ourselves. We went live with the bank back in February this year. So now we have been live with our own bank for as much as 6 months. We have now migrated all the customers from our partner bank to our own bank right now, both for the consumer customers and also for the business companies. And during that phase, we also established to raise a lot of money, which is quite necessary entering this industry. It is significant investments necessary just to get into the industry from the very beginning. So it has taken a lot of investors on the side to do what we did. Just moving on. So the next slides, you can just tap them through, and it's just some short pictures. Just moving on to the next one. The next one again, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So these are just pictures that I wanted to show you. You can just tap 2 times more. And it's just funny pictures to see right now, and just one more time, to see the journey that Lunar has been on, because not only have we entered into an industry, a very highly regulated and also quite complex industry, and I'm pretty sure that many of you out there can acknowledge to that and see the same way. That has been a big challenge. And however, also, and which I don't think that we should, sometimes we do not pay enough attention to that, is also the privilege, but also the challenge of being able to build an organization from the very beginning. It has been an extremely interesting journey. I personally had the opportunity to join Lunar 4.5 years ago, which was pretty much at the very beginning. I remember the very first day at the job I went to have the very first meeting with the partner bank that we made the agreement with. And then it has been quite a journey since then. However, this picture just summarized right now where Lunar is today, and also what it has taken actually to build the position that we have today, knowing that we are still, we continuously discuss the fact that we are actually rebuilding the whole organization, reframing the company every 6 months. based on the journey that we are on. So this is a picture of all the great colleagues that we have had the opportunity to onboard to Lunar, and also knowing that we are going to onboard so many new colleagues in the future. It's just a great privilege. Sometimes you could even just had a whole session when it comes to how to actually build organization, what kind of talents can you attract to these kind of companies. That's a different story. Just to say, it has been a great journey. Moving on to the next one. So here we are today. We have the bank license in Denmark. We are live with a bank in Denmark. And since we went live, we not only have initiated the products for the consumer tiers, but also just 3 weeks ago, we also launched our own business product as well. We have migrated all the customers from our current or from our partner bank back then. So now we are more or less completely in full control. So how do we approach the future from here? So if you move on again, there is no doubt that how we see and define Lunar, and this is an important aspect also when it comes to collaboration with third parties. We see ourselves as a Nordic play. So we are not a global play, we are not a European play, we are a Nordic play. And why have we chosen to act as a Nordic play in when it comes to doing banking? Well, some of the lessons learned from our perspective was that in order to actually being able to provide the true value for the customers, you need to have the fundamentals in place. And when it comes to doing banking, you cannot get out of the fact that being a part of the national clearing systems, being able to provide an actual account from where you can have your salary into, and that you don't need to move around the money all the time is of great importance. It's somehow a fundamental, and from that you are able and capable of building different product tiers on top of that. So when we approach the Nordic market, we are talking very much about vertical expansion strategy. And if you're comparing us to different actors out there, you would see that their plays much more on either a more European player or perhaps even a global play, but they also place themselves in a different level when it comes to the value chain. From our perspective, our lessons learned is that in order for us to get the full, not the full customer ownership, but more being able to provide the features and the products necessary to the whole financial aspect of your life, we saw that also doing the vertical strategy is a strength going forward. So if you tab on again, we now see ourselves placed as a company trying to define a financial super app. And what does that actually mean? Besides going vertical in and very deep in the Nordic financial infrastructure, which will require us to do a lot of different integrations and a lot of different partnerships, just being able to enable different functionalities on top of that. What does that actually also imply when it comes to building collaboration with other providers out there as well? So now I'm much more speaking about the service provider level, so to speak. From the slides here, what I wanted to illustrate is that banking from a Lunar perspective is based both on fundamental problems, fundamental products as we know them today, account structure, payment cards, etc. But it is also a combination of a lot of different features that today has in some good aspects, some quite as good aspects have tried to integrate to the established infrastructure. And I think this is actually very much where we see Lunar being able to take a position in the future based on technology, based on an infrastructure that we have invested heavily in to build on top of that. It is now possible for us with not as much work as initially required to do a lot of different integrations with different partners. So I have some examples with me, both with small companies that are also in the growth phase, also with companies that have been on the market for several years, but took the approach of delivering great APIs for companies such as Lunar to integrate with. So we actually see a span of a lot of different companies that we are right now in the process of collaborating with or already have collaborated with. So moving on to the next slide. Just to finalize what we are presenting to the market today, just to give you an overview of that. So here is an overall slide of the private tier. So it's very much about still the app and the payment, which are essential functionalities when we're doing banking. We, from the very beginning, focused very much on the design in the app, and it has also been something that we are discussing very much whenever we are also discussing collaboration with third parties. The ability to put in the Lunar layer on top of whatever kind of integrations that we are talking to. It is not a question about us owning the full customer. It's a very important thing in our strategy that we do not need to own all the customer and all the customer specific information. We're very much willing to divide and share these information with different integration partners. However, what's one of the key issues when it comes to Lunar and also the position in the future is the brand value and how we present the different products in the app. So that is something that puts some requirements whenever we're in the discussion with third parties. And here is just a simple list of things that we have put to the market since we went live with our own bank back 6 months ago. Tapping on to the next slide is just to give you the same overview of what we already have put to the market when it comes to business product. I would say that the whole business segment is something that we are really investing in right now, still in Denmark, but also a product that we're going to take with us whenever we are crossing the borders to Sweden, Norway, and Finland as well. We have here truly seen an underserved market, and already during the partnership with the partner bank, we attracted a lot of different business companies. We have seen now, since we launched our own product and also migrated the others, that a significant impact and a significant intake of new customers from the business segment each month. And I think here, especially when we're talking integrations with different third parties, is extremely interesting, because here we have a lot of small companies entering the industry every day. And we have a lot of knowledge lacking when it comes to what does it take to actually provide a full value chain from a new business operating. What kind of partnerships do I need to go out and fix in order to be able to operate my business? And here we have seen, just to make simple integrations, and we're not finished doing that at all right now, but just initiating the first integrations with different companies have already provided a lot of value to this segment especially. So this is really where we have seen that the investment made initially in the tech platform has made it so extremely easy for us to hook up with different third parties when it comes to sharing of information and providing an overview of a newly established or for a newly established company. Tapping on to the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about, so just tapping on. Yes. So this was my hopefully very short introduction to the journey of Lunar, the things we have gone through, and where are Lunar today, and what kind of products have we made to the market so far. What I'm going to talk about right now is a key element in Lunar, and is one of the key functionalities, one of the key enablers if we are to succeed in the market going forward, which is data. So just moving on to the next slide. This is a short picture, or a shortened down version of how we actually established the whole tech stack. I'm not going to go into detail with that, but it's a very simple illustration of how we tried, or how we have built the core banking system. In the blue box, we made our own integrations into some of the national infrastructure, which we need to be part of in order to provide those core functionalities, such as an account and payment systems, as I mentioned. We also made direct integrations into other partners in the payment industry, simply to access their newly APIs and all the innovations that they are continuously providing. It's now possible for us to just go shop and take whatever features that we would like, which has already been built by some of these third-party companies. On top of that, we are already also integrating with other companies, also within the financial infrastructure when it comes to fraud, AML, ID, and so forth. The very top level of the picture here is where the true value of the company is being created. That is the value that is positioned towards the market. And here, when it comes to the product, the very first thing we discussed back when I also boarded Lunar is we do not have an ambition to build everything ourselves. That is not the strategy, even though that we have the best tech colleagues in the company and we have great innovation power in the company. We don't even think about the fact that we are the only one out there who are able to provide innovation to the market. So the whole product layer from the very beginning, and that is something that has characterized Lunar in the history today, but also in the future to come, is where and how would it be relevant for our customers that Lunar will integrate and hook up with third-party companies. And one of the key functionalities to do that, of course, is how can we access these third-party companies? Do they have the right APIs available for us to hook into? And which is also something that is defining our own infrastructure. How do we continuously build APIs for other companies to hook into in order for us also being able to share whatever kind of information that we are actually generating on our side? So it's a both way strategy that we are discussing. So coming back to the point about data, today we talk about data all the time, not from a Lunar perspective, but just in general. We're talking about the fact that so many data points are generated every day. But the main issue right now is actually, okay, so we have all the data points, but how do we actually enable them? How are we able to provide information on top of those data points? One of the recent examples and a discussion I participated in was just 14 days ago, where I attended a PSD2 conference, and much of the dialogue was regarding the AISP and PISP functionalities. And here we were discussing the fact that, yes, now we have these APIs available out there, and we are now able to attract these information and also in the Lunar app, present your account information from another bank in our app. It's great. We can do that. We did the integration. Now we can show it to our customers. And also we are now able to initiate payment from the app, even though that you are doing it based on an account that is in another bank. Great. We can do that. It's a technical integration. But at the end, how much value is actually created on top of that for the customers? So now we can do it. So you may avoid now to open up 2 banking apps to check what your account number are. And you now don't have to open up this other banking account app just to pay an invoice and so forth. But the true discussion there, and which is something that we continuously are discussing also here at Lunar, is so we made this third-party integration. And we also did that with another fintech, which was super great. And I can talk very much about that kind of collaboration and that way that we are collaborating with the partners such as them. You know, here we are really talking about 2 agile teams, just setting up different Slack channels, working all night long. And within a few weeks, we actually had these features enabled. So here we actually had a true example of whenever 2 tech companies are meeting together and we need to have some specific functionalities up and running, we can do that. And we have the spirit, we have the structure, we have the agility, we have all these things in place. So now we did it. And I'm pretty sure that we did it in a much faster way compared to the integration such a company may had to do with an incumbent bank. But that's just, something that we can, clap our hands internally about and say, oh, yes, we did it. And we even did it even quite fast. Great. But still, not to forget the value on top of that. And that was just a short story to come back to my point about data. Because doing all these fintech collaborations and doing also collaborations with companies that are quite tech mature and tech ready, but are not fintech companies, is providing a lot of different data points. And I think that in the future, you will see, and hopefully Lunar will be able to provide that. We don't have the answers for all of things right now, but hopefully we will see in the future that on top of all these data points and all these integrations that we are working on, we will start really providing much more value to the customers out there, and also value that I'm not able to even define today. When we are talking about the AISP and the PISP functionalities, we have some pretty interesting ideas about, what are the true value of being able to do these features in one place. Well, at the very end of the day, that would be to have a superior overview of your financials. So even regardless of what kind of account you have underneath, it's just pure infrastructure. The true value is that you can have one account, you can have 10 accounts, but to give you the overview of your overall financial, and even go to the next level, provide you with suggestions, advice, etc., on how to actually have a great economy, have a great personal finance in the future. That is where the true value is. Otherwise, we're just providing information, but we're not using the information. So just tapping on to the next slide here. So here is just an example of the different data points that we are already collecting, and how we are right now, and on top of a pure tech infrastructure and also different products, we have invested quite heavily in internal data services, being able really to know where do we have the different data points, what kind of data are we collecting, and how are we able to bring the pieces together to actually create new value. And I'm not sitting here today and say that Lunar aimed it all, we did it. We are also still at the journey, just saying that has been one of the benefits from starting from a blank piece of paper, being able to build the infrastructure from the very beginning, also to be in control of all the different data points. But that's just, again, from a tech perspective, the customer perspective is at the whole value that we're creating. And especially where we're going from the top level, which is just the personal value, to the predictive, to the proactive value. Just as I explained before, how do we bring the information provided by the AISP and PISP functionalities to the next level? That's the right question right now. So moving on to the next slide. Here is just again an illustration of how we have built the model. And here I want to go into some of the specific examples, not only the AISP and PISP, but also another example of where we partnered up with interesting partners. So we have the Lunar tech stack in the middle. On top of that, we are continuously building a lot of different features and products ourselves. This is where we may do third-party integrations, but they are primarily from a core financial infrastructure perspective. For example, cards, we need to be in the processing infrastructure to be able to issue our own card. That's an example. If we move to the value-added services and third-party partnerships, the outer layer, this is where, the examples that I have already provided, but also actually a good picture of the strategy going forward. Initially, I said that we do have a Nordic ambition, and we are going into the market with a vertical strategy. We want to go deep in the national infrastructure. We also know that there are some national things that we cannot just copy from one country to the next country, not even when it's about the core functionality. That's also the aspects when it comes to the product offering in the market. So we are not just saying that with a Nordic approach, we're just taking all the products that we have designed and enabled here in Denmark, and then we're just rolling them out in Sweden, Norway, and Finland in the nearest future. We know that there are some national things that we need to adjust to, that we need to put on top or even exchange with the current products that we already have in place. However, the strategy is to make a uniform product, which, for example, when it comes to a product like investment, here we didn't make an integration with a fintech company. They define themselves as a tech company, but I wouldn't say a fintech company right now, Saxo Bank. It's a company that is actually an incumbent. They have been in the market for several years. However, their approach also is very much on collaboration, and it's very much defined also in the tech stack that they are providing, making it super easy for a company like Lunar to actually do the integration. We had a full up and running stock trading program in the app up and running within 3 months from the first start of the project to we actually launched the product in the market. And based on the learnings that we have from the industry, 3 months when it comes to initiating the opportunity of trading stocks in an app is quite fast. And those are the things that are really important going forward as well. We are right now looking for partners all over Scandinavia. We are super interested to learn about new companies, new fintechs out there who are providing different kind of services, who are also with the mindset, the fact that collaboration is the way forward. Because we know that the outer circle, we have just, scratched the surface right now. The companies that you're seeing here, that was the starting point. And we had a lot of those in going forward in the future. Just moving on to the next slide. Yes, just one more. So having spoken about all these collaboration partners, and also the fact that we have done it both with small companies or smaller companies who may now enter the growth phase. We have also done it with companies who are actually already in the growth phase, and we have done it with incumbents. The most important thing, and that's one of the main points that I would like to share with you from this presentation today, is that the learning is that all the thoughts you had initially regarding where is the actual value created, don't pay too much attention to that. So of course it's great to have thoughts and ideas about, if we're going to do these kind of collaborations, what kind of value are we creating on your side? What kind of value are we creating on our side? But I can say, based on all the integrations that we have done so far, is that on top of those, value creation processes, discussions we had initially, many new things have happened. And I think that's one of the key elements, both when people are reaching out to Lunar, and also when we are reaching out to other companies, is that the fact that we have really tried to pay much more attention to cultural issues, such as how do we collaborate? Are we open up to also discuss the commercial model in a year or in 6 months, because things didn't evolve the way we had? So you may have underperformed, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad collaboration. We may have underperformed. That doesn't mean it's a bad collaboration. We just need to adjust it. We need to build on top of it. We need to look out in the market together and see how can we adjust and make things even better. I think that's one of the most valuable lessons that we have learned, that mindset has really moved us and from one level to another level with the different partners that we have engaged with. So if you just tab on to the next slide. Here are some of the examples. I won't make anything more comments about that, so just move on. So this is just, I have 2 pictures just to summarize my point about the cultural aspect of collaborating. So here, this is not us against the partner that we are collaborating with. This is us in the ring, actually fighting against the others, and we are doing it together. So we have a mindset about, this is a struggle, this is a fight, but doing the partnerships together, we are also doing that fight together. Meaning, coming back to my point from previous, doing these kind of collaborations, please don't go into those with the fact that, okay, so you said you had this business case, you said you would reach these target right now, you didn't do it, it's a failure, etc. I mean, that's not how we're going to do it, because the mindset should instead be, going into the ring, we don't know how it will end, but we're going to fight. We're going to fight very hard together. We don't know how it will end. We don't know if it's going to be a major success or how it will be, but we're going to fight together. Going on to the next slide, one of the lessons learned also from our side, You can just tap again. From the fact that we used to just be pirates here at Lunar, that was just us against the incumbents out there. We still try to maintain that approach. It's not us against anyone, but it's us really, really trying all the new things, doing things the different ways, but in a more structured way. I mean, we are now 150 employees in the company. We have our own banking license. We can't just do whatever we want to do. But maintaining that kind of culture, especially when it comes to collaboration, is a significant thing that we need to maintain and something that we are continuously paying attention to going forward in the strategy. Just moving on to the next slide. Time is running. So this is not a very nice slide here, I can see, but just to summarize my point here, the perfect kind of collaboration is whenever we start thinking about the users together. This is not us partnering up and because we want to just gain something for Lunar ourselves. This could be great to initiate in the market based on what the users already are asking for or what we are thinking they will ask for in the future. In order to do this, and in order to have a fast and also innovative collaborations, the whole API assessment is essential. We have seen that it's a struggle. It's a very big struggle to do innovation if we do not have the right kind of API mindset regarding these kind of collaborations. And the last thing of my point here is this whole data-driven approach. Again, it's a word used in many ways, but my point when it comes to data-driven is not only are we looking at what kind of data that we are creating together, and it's a lot of different data points, but also the fact that if you're data-driven, then you also accept the fact that you don't know everything before you actually initiate the collaborations. You will see that there are a lot of different data points being established and being produced in this kind of collaboration. And based on these data points, you are then adjusting your strategy and moving forward in the future. Tap on to the next slide. Yes, so time is almost up. That was actually the things that I wanted to share with you today when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to be a fintech company now moving into another stage, but still fintech in the whole culture. So thank you very much for listening.
Hi Morten, Sebastian from Copenhagen Fintech here. We have quite a lot of questions for you in the Swapcard chat. If it's okay with you and if you have the time, I would like to just read out the questions for you and have you answer them. Is that fine? Yeah.
Yeah.
So for all of you guys out there, I'll just take the questions in order. If I miss your question, feel free to write it again. As I said, there are quite a lot of comments in here as well, so I may miss some. First question. If Lunar want to be a full alternative to traditional banks, isn't there a risk that Lunar will also run into the same structural challenges as these banks have?
Yes, that is completely true. So we are already facing that right now. We, as we expected, we had the Danish authority paying us a visit here to see how do we actually run the bank. And of course, they are also evaluating us in the framework of what other banks are also being measured, which puts some more processes, which put some more policies into place. We now also need to make sure that we are not just doing things like this out there because we need to have the procedures written down. We need to be able to make the right internal assessment and controls, etc. So that's a fair point. And I think, there are two ways of approaching this. Is, from our perspective, we had them visiting us, and we actually had a good session with them because we did all that. We did implement all the policies and the procedures, and we also have followed all the rules. We need to do that, and we want to do that. But there are different ways of doing that, and I think that if you ask many of my new colleagues who came from the incumbent banks and has been in this game for several years, I'm pretty sure that they will all say that the approach to which we actually addressed these issues and how we actually managed to do all these things were done in a completely different mindset compared to what they have experienced before. So I think the key to us is to really maintain the culture in Lunar and the approach of problem solving, whatever kind of problem we are facing.
Thank you, Morten. Next question. Why do you not have global ambitions? You are building a platform that could be reused in other less mature markets where banking is unpenetrated.
We might have someday. So I think the reason why we right now are following our Nordic strategy is because we're working in a time frame of 3 years maximum. Not to say that we won't, I mean, we are a going concern, but just, the mindset we're trying to figure out right now, the strategic stepping stones, where 3 years is like the future. We know that it's a complex journey that we're on right now. Going deep into the national infrastructure, it's not easy. And we already know specific timeframes of how that is possible to be done. So being able to also, prove that we are able to do that and scaling up the business just from a Nordic perspective would give us a tremendous platform to start discuss a global approach. But I don't think that wouldn't make sense to do right now, because we have to take our current platform to the next level.
All right. Another question. This one is a dual question. First, how do you plan to achieve the scale necessary for staying in the Nordics? And then following this, at the beginning, you're seeing a lot of early adopters. However, what is your strategy for taking market share from existing players in the long term?
Yeah, so that's completely true. I mean, launching Lunar back 4 years ago, I thought there were a lot of early adopters on that. What we have seen since then is there is a truly correlation between introducing new products, making the product portfolio even wider, and fulfilling everyday basic financial functionalities. Just by doing that, we are taking market share each day. On top of that, we are discussing new features, new services, integration with different partners, trying to also provide new kind of products that you don't see among the incumbents today. And I think the combination of those two aspects is going to be the right strategy for Lunar, and also how we are able to take a position in the Nordics in the future. So right now we are still in ramping up. There are a lot of things that, hygiene factors we just need to have implemented. But we see that as the stepping stone going forward.
Okay, there are still a few questions left, so hang with us. You're quite popular, Morten. Do you have any positive impact planned now for the future, let's say by investing directly into sustainable companies, or do you have any other positive impact in regards to the SDGs? And if so, what?
So this is a super question, because we have that on the agenda right now. We already take some first initiatives when it comes to that sphere, so to speak. We are discussing it from the investment perspective, the whole investment product portfolio that we are providing. How do we also change in that direction? We are also, and that's a super great example of making collaborations with partners that are not actually already players in the financial industry, but how do we actually combine a financial product with a product with a completely different, not a completely different vision, but at least a completely different industry. So that is something that is on our agenda. We already have taken the initial steps. We don't see it right now as the one and only for Lunar. It's going to be a combination also in the future.
Okay. And next question, what advantages did you have starting fresh versus the incumbents? And where will incumbents continue to have an advantage that you will have to fight against?
Yeah, so I think, it's fair to say that, starting from a blank piece of paper when it comes to the whole tech stack, that is something that we really benefit from right now, coming back to some of the examples that I have given. I think the other thing to mention is the ability to actually also build a brand from scratch. So it's not just about building great tech. It's not about building great products. If Lunar is to succeed, we need to have this brand value on top of that, because with the brand value, you also start talking about engagement. And in order for people to have a great personal finance life, they need to engage with whatever kind of financial products that they have and financial apps and so on. So I think, it has been an advantage for us also to be able to build a brand and continuous invest in a brand that is positioning itself from an engagement perspective and the relationship to the customers different from what the incumbents have done so far, or where they have actually ended right now. And the second question, what was that?
The second question was just the flip side. So where do the incumbents have an advantage that you think you will have to fight against?
Well, they are already heavily integrated in the financial infrastructure. That is a great advantage because they are up and running. They have all the hygiene products running at the time right now. So that is, we are still lagging behind when it comes to some of the core functionalities. We are almost there, but we have been lagging behind. And also, there are great people also in the companies, also people with great ideas and with innovative mindsets. I think that they struggle. That's at least what we hear when we talk to them. They struggle from the fact that it's difficult to get these new features, new ideas, innovations all through the company. So I think if they manage actually to really change and implement a different culture as well, it's going to be a struggle as well, because that's where we also have a main advantage today. Even though that we're lagging behind, the time which we can actually follow up is just narrowing down every day.
Okay, we are down to some of the final questions now. Thanks for sticking with us. So first, neobanks, Revolut, Monzo in 26 and so on, have yet to make any profit, so perhaps being vertical is the way to go. But what else will Lunar do to help break away from the pack?
To break away from the pack, what does that... not sure. Help me here.
I think in this case it means to separate yourself further from the other challenger banks.
Well, I think, we have to continue delivering new services, new functionalities every day, every time, because they are also providing innovation to the market, and they are doing it in a fast speed, and we really need to continue doing that. So that's actually why it's super interesting working at Lunar, because not only are we looking at the incumbents and we need to fight them because we are entering their main domains here in the Nordic, so we need to take market share from them. We also need to keep up with the other challenger banks, because many of them are working from a global perspective, and we may think that yes, but they are not vertical integrated in the full infrastructure. No, but they are still providing products out there, fulfilling some requirements from customers, and we need to compete with that as well. So we are very much focusing on both sides, and we need to do that in order to keep them where they are.
Okay, so second to last question, and then we are done. Do you have any perspectives on open finance for Lunar?
So that we are also opening up ourselves?
That was the question, so I can't really say further. Just if you have any perspectives on open
if it is, I mean, yes, it is. So the whole open finance or open banking, yes, we are also into that, because as much as we like the fact that we can integrate with other companies and start sharing information that will be from which it's possible to create innovation, we also want to take part in the overall ecosystem ourselves. So that is a true yes.
Okay, and then the final question of the day, again, a two-sided question. So since you are dealing with a highly regulated industry, when you achieve your compliance status, 1, how do you think this will limit your innovation potential? And 2, do you have instances to collaborate with in regards to regulation, e.g. improving rules or having input on legislation?
So I think coming back to the point from before, I think it's actually the same question or same answer to this question. Yes, we do need to follow the same rules, and we will do that, and we would like to do that. So it's not a question about finding other ways to manipulate. This is not on the table, but the way that we are handling these, and the people that we have on board and have tapped into the Lunar culture, their approach to how we are implementing compliance in Lunar, I think also that's a different way of just approaching it all. They are our team members. They are every day in trying to do the same as we are developing the company. So I think that has been a very significant thing, discussing compliance and regulation, etc. The whole mindset to which you actually approach these things. And the second question, if I had any suggestions when it comes to that, well, I think that the example of the AISP and PISP, I think that is a very good example of where we could do something differently, because here we have made legislation that is, you actually need to be an expert from in the industry to be able to understand many of the things you now need to know about. And you also need to, many of the companies who actually wanted to establish themselves on top of the AISP and PIP solutions were tech companies. They didn't have the knowledge in-house, so they may have used external advisors. That is a great thing, but that's a whole new mindset. And if we were to really innovate also in the financial sector, we need to also think about how do we attract companies that do not have all the compliant knowledge themselves, who are not used to policies and procedures, AML structures and so forth. How do we make a framework where they are able also to navigate in without them having to, from even before making the first innovation, hiring 3, 4, 5 people just to have all the paperwork done initially. So I think trying to just try to see how can we attract other companies, other industries, together with the financial industry, that would be something that could be really interested from a regulation perspective.
Thank you, Morten. That was the final question. I want to thank you for taking the time to give us this incredible presentation and for your open and honest questions and answers to these comments here. It was really nice having you join us today. So we've gone a bit over time, but I'm glad that you allowed us to do so. Thank you very much.
It's fine. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.